Kansas City Chiefs at the Las Vegas Raiders. The undefeated Chiefs are favored by 9.5 against the Raiders on the road here in the Kermit the Frog revenge game.
Kermit the Frog revenge game. Yes. I'm curious how quickly they can get DeAndre Hopkins, or how integrated they can get him in the offense, after just a few days rather. Wide receiver is a pretty important position, especially when you have a guy like Mahomes, where a lot of it is being on the same wavelength and understanding how he wants to improvise and where he wants to go with the football. Can Nuke immediately snap into that and be like, is that a thing that two guys that are just really good can read the game the way Kelsey and Mahomes do? Or is that something that's going to take Nuke a while to get up to speed and figure out how Mahomes likes playing the game? How big a part of this offense he's going to be, I think will be pretty interesting. And I think quite an important factor in how good they can be.
I think there's two ways of looking at the Chiefs at this point. They're 6-0. Man, if I read Mahomes' passing stat line to you and I said, after week 7, this is what it's going to look like, what would you predict the Chiefs' record to be? I mean, any quarterback stat line that looks like this. Mahomes, 6 touchdowns, 8 picks. Passer rating is like 28th in the NFL, 82 something. I mean, it's insane how different it is relative to expectations. We saw this at times during the regular season last year where this offense was not very good, but they still won games. The defense is incredible. But this also makes me think that there's more in the tank. I don't think Mahomes, he's had some weird interception luck. Last week a batted pass and a receiver falling over. That's why he's got 8 picks. I don't think he's completely careless with the ball. He has been a little bit early in games, but he's not turning it over in the fourth quarter. And then we talked a lot about success rate versus EPA per play. And I think it just tells a really good story for various teams around the league, but with the Chiefs in particular, their offense is 4th in success rate, so they stay on schedule, but they're just 12th in EPA per play. They don't create explosives. So they run the ball 3-4 yards a pop here and there, stay on schedule, underneath passes, get to 2nd and 5, get to 3rd and 2, but they're not creating big plays. And if Nuke Hopkins is the guy that starts to create, and I'm calling a big play like 15 yards, start to create a few 15-yard completions, 20-yard completions down the field, then the Chiefs' offense becomes even more dangerous. So it's going to be interesting to watch for a team that's already 6-0, has gone through a difficult part of their schedule already and beaten some pretty good teams. They beat the Niners, the Ravens, the Bengals for whatever they are. If they can actually improve offensively, and then the Chiefs' defense just continues to lock down, not even all 60 minutes, but in crunch time they're doing it. And then they have games like last week where all 60 minutes they were a challenge for this Niners offense.
Yeah, Mahomes is not playing well this year. Outside of the fact that the thing that hasn't left him is his understanding for game situation and how to get the hell out of a pocket and pick up a first down with his legs. Like his PFF rushing grade, is it the best in the NFL?
It's up there.
Yeah, it's certainly one of the best.
When he runs, it's pretty much a first down every time.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's like fixing what is otherwise really an inept offense, passing-wise, by scrambles and keeping the chains moving. He has the same number of big-time throws this year, despite Xavier Worthy, acquiring the fastest player in the NFL who has been a viable deep threat, and they are manufacturing some of those plays. He has the same number of big-time throws as Tua, who's been stood down for the last month because he got concussed and knocked out of a game.
He missed one to Worthy the other day.
Right.
Had an opportunity for one and missed it.
His turnover, quarterbacks with more interceptions than touchdowns include people like Gardner Minshew, Will Levis. It's a bad group of quarterbacks, and Mahomes. His turnover-worthy play rate, and big-time throws to turnover-worthy plays as a sort of ratio is in the same area as well. The turnover-worthy play rate thing isn't actually much higher than he's ever been. It's just there's no big plays. They're not, he's not making those big throws that he's always made, certainly not at any kind of rate, and he's sort of hiding it all to a degree by being, maybe the most effective scrambler in the NFL. I know we talked about Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson, obviously superior athletes.
Mahomes needs to be in that discussion.
But nobody is better at Mahomes at figuring out how to get away from pressure and getting just enough yardage to keep the chains moving when he needs to. He is amazing at that. And like I said, when you watch him play, his 40 time is half-tenth a second faster than whoever it is that's chasing him.
Always.
And it doesn't matter who that is. That's what his 40 time is. So he really is incredible at that. And that, I think, is a huge thing propping up this offense right now.
Yeah, and again, from a perspective, depending on your perspective, it's either, well, if you keep playing like this, it's going to come back to bite, right? Like, you're not going to win these games. You're not going to get the pass interference on the last play against the Bengals. Isaiah Likely is going to get a toe in bounds. Like, you're not going to win all these games, or you're going to get better, and the Chiefs are going to, actually hit their stride offensively and pair with this defense and continue to be the best team in the league. So this week, I think they crushed the Raiders. I think last week they put together, they've got the wing tee or whatever they were setting up with Carson Wentz, and they're going to have something set up. They're going to do a ring around the rosy huddle. They've got all the plays because Antonio, they've got the bulletin board material, because the last time these two teams played was Christmas. That was the worst game of Patrick Mahomes' career. Threw a pick six. Aiden O'Connell and the Raiders beat the Chiefs, and O'Connell didn't even throw for a first down or didn't have a completion in the second half, whatever it was. It was some ridiculous stat, and it was all because the Chiefs' offense was terrible. So they're probably going to drop 40 this week against the Raiders because they're mad and because they made fun of them in the preseason. And look, I've picked on Antonio Pierce a lot, but it's in part because he essentially implied like we figured out the Chiefs based off one game. He got hired off of vibes, in Devontae Adams vibes, and he's booted from the building. And it's like nothing's been good for the Raiders other than a second half comeback to the Ravens, and I'll keep saying that every single week because that's what the season's been.
Mahomes has the highest rate of scrambles that turn into first downs of any quarterback in the NFL. 62.5% of his scrambles this season have become first downs, which is 5 percentage points higher than anybody else.
Good stat.
Caleb Williams is second. Caleb Williams himself is 4 percentage points higher than anybody else. So, yeah, that is a real thing. The bottom two quarterbacks in this stat are kind of funny. Daniel Jones makes sense, right? Feeds into that, like, when you have a bad offensive line, you make it worse thing. And then Deshaun Watson, who, even though is a very athletic quarterback, does nothing of positivity with it.
All right, man. 9.5. For the Chiefs in Vegas, in the Dome. Oh, yeah, and it's a Dome game, so there's a chance to hit Xavier Worthy for 80 yards in the air.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where I'm going with the Chiefs, but I hate 9.5 points. Like, this offense has shown no inclination that they can cover like a 10-point spread.
26-3. Chiefs win here. I'll take the Chiefs. Harry will also take the Chiefs to cover the 9.5 here. I know what happened on Christmas. The Raiders won in Kansas City. They were outstanding. I'm just not seeing it this year. Don't see the same feistiness out of that defense.
Well, that was also a pre-Kermit mockery.
Pre-Kermit mockery, right. It actually led to the Kermit mockery. Gave them false confidence, the Raiders.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.